There's a lot of consternation about the decision by the Greenville City Council to raise property taxes here in Greenville 2 cents. 1 cent was raised in May. None of it's actually gone into effect yet. These are directives from the City Council to the city manager and the staff in preparing their budget. There had been no discussion of a tax increase in the May meeting, and a surprise motion was made, even with one of the city council people not at the meeting. And then another motion to raise another 1 cent per 100 value of property in Greenville on Monday night. And the state legislature is getting the blame for that. The city council, Calvin Mercer, Rick Croskery, Marion Blackburn, and Rick Smiley voting in favor of this, saying we have no choice because the state is taking away our ability to tax businesses more, and that's what we were planning to do. As I've said before, it is not correct to say that the city has lost funding because of this legislative action. What is correct to say is that they've lost their ability to increase their funding. And that money was not in the budget and not being spent currently anyway. So when you hear city council people say, the city budget had to be cut and we lost money because the state did these things with regard to these business license fees, it's not true. Because the truth of the matter is they had just taken the action to increase these business fees, and the state legislature has denied them that right to do that. Now, people in Greenville are pretty upset about that, and one of the folks, there are 4 or 5 people in Greenville that I consider to be true business icons, people that have made this community what it is and made it grow, and they're wise folks who have a lot of us have looked up to for many, many years. And one of those people is my friend Bill Clark from Bill Clark Homes. And Bill and I had a short chat yesterday, and I encouraged him to come on this morning to talk about how he feels about this. And so we've got Bill up early this morning, and we got him on the telephone. Good morning, Bill Clark. How are you?
Good morning, Henry.
You join a lot of Greenville business folks right now that are kind of scratching their heads, going, why are we increasing taxes and other fees at a time when the economy's just getting back on its feet? What are your thoughts about it?
Well, my problem with the tax increases is the way the way they were being handled. In other words, if they had notified public on their agenda that they were going to have a vote for a tax increase, I think more people would have showed up. Just to say that you're going to have budget discussions, that's not saying you're going to have a tax increase. And I think that most people would just like I did. I didn't think anything about it. The first one surprised me, and the second one sort of shocked me because I don't even think we know what the legislature is going to do yet. We don't know what the implications are going to be from what they're doing. They haven't even decided yet. And here we are. We've already passed a 1 cent tax to compensate for something we don't know is going to happen.
Well, actually, just one point of clearance there, that bill did pass and the governor has signed it. But your point is correct in that we don't know what effect it's going to be on Greenville because, in the original newspaper article, Bernita Demery, the financial director down at City Hall, said, there might be a chance that it would increase revenues based on the fact that they can now charge lawyers and other businesses that hadn't been charged before. There's not been an analysis done that I'm aware of to really decide whether this is the financial disaster that the city council is saying that it is. I don't think they know.
Well, and that's my point. I mean, the legislature said that they were going to come up with something as an alternate to replace that revenue.
Yeah.
They need to give them a chance to see what that's going to be. I mean, I don't even think this loss of revenue will affect us this year anyway. I think it's going to be in the years to come. But, the fact of it is, if you read the newspaper, they want to have a bond issue for 4 more cents on top of the 2 cents. That's a 6 cent increase in a year. Well, that's unheard of in Greenville. That's unheard of in most places you ever go to. I mean, and if they got any chance, if they want to have a chance at a bond issue, I think this is putting it in jeopardy.
Well, that's the other thing the mayor said yesterday. I mean, people, how much can people take? And, at some point there's a question of trust as well.
Well, I think transparency has been what they talk about on the council. I'm not sure that I see it as being as transparent as I like it. Like I said, if you'd have told me before the meeting that you were going to vote for a tax increase to go into the next year's budget, I may have done a little more homework and showed up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they just went ahead and done it. And of course, the final vote is tomorrow night. Tomorrow night they vote on the budget. So if they pass it tomorrow night, it's in effect.
They don't have to vote on it tomorrow night, but the way the way they're moving, you can, But here's the thing, you brought up an interesting point when you and I were on the phone yesterday. I mean, I don't know what the laws are, but I believe that if you're talking about raising taxes, you are required to have a public hearing. Well,
they claimed a public hearing was what they're claiming. This is what they say. They say that the public hearing was called because it was a budget public hearing.
But another tax increase was motioned for and passed after that public hearing.
I know. It's just
that was a public hearing about the motion from May, where they had voted 1 cent in, but they voted another penny in on Monday night. So my question is this: you have to advertise public hearings. You have to let people know they're going to happen. Are they not breaking the law?
And you have to give them an agenda.
Are they not breaking the law by not advertising another public hearing since there was another motion made for a tax increase on Monday night? I think that they are.
I don't know. I'm not an attorney, and I asked that question to someone yesterday, and I did not really get a definitive answer, I don't think. But I think even if they did it wrong, just the fact that they did it the way they did it, it didn't tell the citizens of Greenville, hey, we're going to have a tax increase. Vote tonight.
Yeah.
That, to me, is not transparent enough. I mean, I think you need to do that. In fact, I've always thought Greenville needed to have a tax advisor or a budget advisory committee made up of citizens of Greenville to maybe look over this thing before it happens. Listen, you can't, if you ever pull that budget up and look at it, there ain't no way you can understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way. You'd have to delve in it for months and months.
It was $400 million.
I mean, listen, I got to run a business. I can't worry about checking somebody else's budget. I got to worry about my own. But the thing that if you look, one of the things that I've always looked at in city spending and taxes and so forth is look at the budgets over a long period of time and see how much more money we're spending than we used to. And one point back in somewhere 2006 or 5 or somewhere, when I went back and did a 10-year printout on the budget based upon what the figures I got from the city, and in that period of time, the budget doubled. I mean, the spending doubled. Of course, the budget had to double too. Now, the city was growing at about a 2.5% rate, and inflation was pretty mild during that time, yet our budget doubled. And there probably a lot of reasons for that. I'm not trying to condemn anybody for what they did. All I'm saying is we need to study and see, especially right now, when we are just recovering from a recession. And Greenville is not recovered yet, trust me. Home sales in Greenville and Pitt County are almost the same they've been for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an increase. We used to close somewhere 700, 800 houses a year in Pitt County, new homes. The last 2 or 3 years, we've only closed around 250, 275. That's not a recovery.
Yeah. Well, it's better than zero, which were closed like in 09 and 10, but it ain't what it used to be, is it?
It ain't what well, it's never going to get back to that bigger figure again. I mean, I think at one time we even closed 1,000. But my point is that we slowly are recovering from a recession, and we're getting hit from all sides. I just think that they need to take a pause, and they need to ask themselves the question: is there any other way to do this than the way we got here? And if they've truly done that, I think they need to tell the people that they've done that. I don't see. I mean, there's a lot in a budget that big that you might trim out.
Well,
from
it's
time to time.
it's just a question. You know, you always hear we've cut to the bone, we've done everything we can. But Bill, you made a good point when you and I talked on the phone yesterday too. You've had concerns, and you brought this up to me before. You've had concerns a long time. It's not just a tax increase on property taxes; it's stormwater fees, it's utility rates, it's all these things that are escalating pretty quickly in Pitt County.
Well, that stormwater fee is a pet peeve of mine because I was on the original stormwater committee that met to discuss this because it was mandated by the state, and so we had to do something. And at the time we did it, we were told by the city public works director that this fee was going to be used exclusively for stormwater projects. Well, I don't think we've had that many stormwater projects done over the period of time, and there's been millions and millions of dollars collected in that fund. I just think that somewhere along the way we're siphoning money off of that and using it to run public works instead of putting it into projects. Whereas we should have been taking money that's in the budget and in our tax base and running public works like we used to.
And you know what you just said. What you just said speaks to the question of trust. When we start getting told we got to have a $10 million road bond, and then a public safety bond, and we got to have a parks and recreation bond. You know, here's what I want to know, because I see this in government. I saw it with the state revenue bond that was done for education, higher education years ago. You know, you're told it's going to be spent for one thing, but it gets spent for something else after the money starts getting collected and put in coffers. And you know, I think we need to hold their feet to the fire on that. It's time for a lot of folks in Greenville to wake up and watch what is happening here, I think, and hold these elected officials' feet to the fire.
Well, I think that's true all the time. Unfortunately, people just like me, we're running a business around, we're busy, we're trying to make a living, trying to stay in business, and it's kind of hard to get so involved. That's why we elect these people to the public office as our trusted officials to do this sort of thing. I think we've seen a little bit different attitude on this present council than we have on past councils about holding the line a little bit.
That's an understatement.
I think the past councils have, and a lot of the members are on there, the same one, had done a good job in holding the line.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we don't need some tax increases, but I'm saying that if you try to do a 2-cent increase now and try to get a bond issue passed for 4 cents, whether it's this November or next November, you're going to jeopardize that bond. And people, and in that bond, there's some things that probably need to be addressed, like streets and repairs. And I don't know how much that we need to do, but when you're running a department, let's just take public works for instance. If you're running a public works, you're going to want all the money you can get that you can do a bang-up job with. And the more money you get, the more money you can do. So naturally, you're going to want more money. But when you take a fee like you're talking about, and this 50-cent fee is just the beginning, because back in sometimes last year when they had the meeting about proposing a 50-cent increase in the stormwater fee, in that presentation, they put in there that would be for the next four more years after this. That's a $2.50 increase and a $3.35 fee. That's a pretty healthy increase. That would raise that almost double my stormwater bill.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that goes to every citizen in Greenville's got a utility bill.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just saying, and if you look at the number, you look at the amount of money, and this will be very interesting, and I haven't done it lately, but if you look at the amount of fees that we are collecting in Greenville today compared to what we did 10 to 15 years ago, you would be shocked. I mean, you're going from hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars instead of and that's a huge increase. And that's what they're doing. They're increasing the fees and not raising the taxes so people don't raise hell like they're going to do when they raise the taxes.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things they're doing. I think that somebody needs to, I don't know who it is, but somebody needs to say, wait a minute, what are we doing?
I think you just did. But look, here's the thing: are you going to show up at the council meeting on Thursday night? I think you should go speak at the council meeting on Thursday night.
Yeah, well, I have not made up my mind. I probably will, but, you know, I'll go up there. There probably won't be another soul in that meeting.
I don't think that's the case. I think they're going to be people to show up this time.
What happens, you know, in my business, you know, I go up there and object to what they're doing, and they look at me and say, well, you know, maybe the next time you come up for planning and zoning or for approval on a zoning petition, we may not look so favorably at that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that happens, but I mean, you know, I don't like to get involved in controversy. I have enough controversy in the business I'm in. I'm working hard to survive, just like every other bill in the country is. But I think that these people need to take a break. They need to take a breath and say, what can we do? What can we do to eliminate this right now?
Mm-hmm.
What can we do to postpone? I think they're jumping the gun a little bit.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Well, Bill, you've got an interesting perspective. Again, if you're just joining us, this is Bill Clark from Bill Clark Homes, one of the most successful business people in North Carolina.